Good morning. It's Friday morning. This is Scott Cullen, editor-in-chief of the Kanata Report. It's time for Fridays with Frank, and here I am, as I am every Friday, with Frank Kanata. Hey, how are you doing, Frank?
I'm doing very well, Scott. Thank you.
Okay, well, last month we released the first part of our annual dealer survey. It was our 36th annual dealer survey. And then this month we'll be releasing part 2. And in the first part of the survey, we talked about greatest growth opportunities for dealers. And there were some interesting findings in there. Granted, they don't change dramatically from year to year, though we are seeing some traction for some segments or opportunities that weren't really noted in previous surveys. But what I wanted to get your thoughts on were let's talk about the top 4 opportunities that dealers ranked #1 overall. We gave them a list of 8 different opportunities. The #1 pick, with 36.3% of dealers identifying this, was managed IT. #2 was MPS, 28.3%. Document management, ECM, had the #3 position at 9.8%. And then at 8% was production print. So any surprises there for you?
The dealers have long recognized that services was a legitimate growth opportunity. And I think the dealers that have some sense of survival recognized that a long time ago. So it doesn't surprise me at all that those are the 4. And certainly the order doesn't surprise me. I certainly think that MPS has really got to be the key for many of them short term. I was just in, as you are aware, recently in Albuquerque with SDG, and we visited with Southwest Copy, who was not a member of SDG. After the meeting, Carol and I visited with he and his wife, and his whole thing is MPS. I shouldn't say his whole thing. He's obviously doing everything else, but his focus is he told us about a contract that he was able to sign with the public school system in Albuquerque. He's talking about 15 to 1,600 machines. These are all primarily A4s for MPS. I mean, that's huge. So if you have that, and all dealers have that opportunity. It's not something they have to go out and say, I got to reinvent the wheel here, or I got to bring somebody in to help teach me how to sell to a school system. That's not the case. So yes, definitely #1. #2, I think you said document.
Actually, MPS was #2. Managed IT was #1.
Managed IT, right. Managed IT, the same thing. Only in that case, you need to have some talent that understand the IT environment that can really provide consultative services for the client. And dealers have been building that in many different ways. Early on, a lot of them just bought small IT companies. So that doesn't surprise me at all. And from the look that I took of the survey, it seems that it's growing. It's certainly, in terms of participation, percentage of revenue is increasing. So it's on the right curve, as is MPS. And the third thing was document management. That's got to be the easiest thing to sell to a small business. That's my opinion. I mean, obviously, someone would say it's not that easy. Well, okay. But they're set up for it. It's so easy to do. They either provide the scanner to set up a doc management program and help the client. We'll do the scanning for them if they need it, or they'll instruct the client how to do it. Get a couple of school kids, college kids, and come in to do it. and go from there and build it. So again, this is not something that is beyond the dealer's ability to do without a lot of stress, fuss, and muss, and huge investment. It is not. The last thing you mentioned was production print, and I don't think I can add anything more to what I've already said. I mean, it's that simple. But I understand the low percentage. I really do, because it's expensive. It's a huge commitment to take in. Even the entry-level models are not inexpensive. They're more expensive than anything probably than most dealers are selling right now. So if you want to start entry-level at between $125,000 and $150,000, that's a big commitment for many dealers. But it's still, you're talking about a cut sheet printer. I mean, come on, it's not something that is that difficult. It's toner based. You're not even talking about getting into inkjet. So there's lots of opportunities there still, will continue to be. And I think, you know, we confer with people like Todd Johnson and John Hay, who are just a great source of knowledge in this area. And their numbers don't come terribly different than ours. They're a little higher on the production print side simply because their numbers come from the groups that pay them to take their membership, who have to give their financial returns and to build the same scenario. What's the percentage of revenues in all the different areas, compensation, et cetera, et cetera. And the last time I checked with Todd, we were not that far off. I mean, pretty close. This year, I think we will be at 8%. And I don't have an explanation for it. Could be we got about 40, what do we got? 385, about 43 more than we got the previous year. If I remember correctly, Scott.
Right.
I think it's 342, 385.
Correct.
Maybe some of those, or the majority of those we picked up were smaller dealers. That could certainly impact the numbers. But the one thing that it didn't impact was the top 25 dealers in our survey, revenue was 50 million plus. 68% of the total revenue from 385 dealers came from those 50 dealers. And every one of them was in production print.